Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for Friday, September 12th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks. It's going to be 5 players in total, 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. That's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. And then after that, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk through my top GPP teams to stack for Friday's slate overall. And then in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report that have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I'll also be listing as many of these starting laps I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening. So definitely make sure that you are checking up down in that comment section so that you do have the most up-to-date and relevant information, especially as we do head into lock. But without further ado, we'll get right into it with the core picks. We're going to start off at that pitcher position with Luis Castillo of the Seattle Mariners. He's at $8,600. Currently averaging just under 28.5 fantasy points per game on the season. And he goes into Friday's matchup going against the Los Angeles Angels. He has pretty good history versus them in the past. He had one start versus them earlier this year where he had 18 points. Last year he had 3 starts against the Angels where he had 43, 43, and 49 points. So some pretty good history there in the past. Obviously this season wasn't the greatest, but definitely do like his upside in this matchup overall. And if we look at what he's done so far in the season, he's got 9 wins. ERA's at 3.85. Once again, averaging just under 28.5 fantasy points per game at $8,600. But there are quite a few pitchers on tonight's slate with some pretty good upside, so definitely feel free to mix and match as you do see fit. But with that being said, we can move down to our hitters. We're going to start off at second base with Bryce Terang. He's at $3,300. Currently averaging just over 11 fantasy points per game. Goes against the St. Louis Cardinals. Andre Pallante is the expected starting pitcher for them. He is 4 for 10 versus Andre Pallante in his career, so some pretty decent history there. And if we look at what Bryce Terang's done as of late, he has at least 1 hit in 4 out of his last 6 games, 3 multi-hit games during that time span, 1 home run, and 3 double-digit performances, so performing pretty well as of late. On the season, he's got a .289 batting average, 18 home runs, 74 RBIs, once again averaging over 11 fantasy points per game at $3,300. And then we're going to move down to shortstop with Jackson Holliday. You could also play him at second base, but since Bryce Terang's there, we have to move him over to shortstop. He's at $3,000, currently averaging just over 9.5 fantasy points per game. He is going against the Toronto Blue Jays, and Chris Bassett is the expected starting pitcher for them. And he is 2 for 7 with 1 home run in his career versus Chris Bassett. If we look at what Jackson Holliday has done as of late, it's been really good. 4-game hitting streak for him, 2 multi-hit games, 1 home run, 3 double-digit performances in 4 games of at least 9 fantasy points or higher. And if you go back even further, he's had quite a few double-digit performances over the last couple of weeks. And if we look at what he's done so far in this season in totality, .252 batting average, 17 home runs, 54 RBIs, once again averaging just over 9.5 fantasy points per game at $3,000. And then we move down to the outfield. We're going to go with Jackson Chourio at $3,500, currently averaging just over 12 fantasy points per game. Going against the St. Louis Cardinals, Andre Pallante is still the expected starting pitcher for them. He is 3 for 4 versus Pallante in his career. And Jackson Chourio is currently on a 4-game hitting streak. He's got 1 multi-hit game, 1 home run during that time span, as well as 3 double-digit performances. So definitely like what he's been doing as of late. He's been pretty solid since coming back from injury. He's up to a .278 batting average, 20 home runs, 72 RBIs. Once again, averaging just over 12 fantasy points per game at $3,500. And then last but not least, we're going down to Jackson Merrill. So I do have all 3 of the second-year Jackson players. And I know it's just kind of funny that it worked out that way. It was not something I had planned whatsoever. But all 3 of them look like really good plays on today's slate just in general. So we got Jackson Merrill here, $3,000, currently averaging just over 9 fantasy points per game. He's going against the Colorado Rockies. Tanner Gordon is the expected starting pitcher for them. He is 1 for 3 with 1 home run versus Tanner Gordon in his career. He has at least 1 hit in 4 out of his last 5 games, 2 multi-hit games during the time span, 1 home run, 3 double-digit performances in 4 games of at least 9 fantasy points or higher. So he's been offering a really solid floor as of late. He's also a guy that was dealing with a little bit of injury, so coming off that injury was a little bit slower, but as of late really turned it on once again. So he's got a .259 batting average, 10 home runs, 55 RBIs, once again averaging just over 9 fantasy points per game at $3,000. But with that being said, if you do go with the 5 players that do currently have listed here, you have $13,600 remaining, $3,400 remaining per player, so a good amount of money remaining, whether you want to pay up for a couple guys, pay down at some other spots, or go with a little bit more of a balanced build across the board, or you could always pay up at that pitcher position at the same time as well. But with that being said, we'll get moving over my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Friday's slate overall. So we're going to start off with the Milwaukee Brewers. They're going against Andre Pallante of the St. Louis Cardinals. Most of their hitters have fared pretty well against him in the past. He's kind of been one of those guys who's been a hit or miss pitcher for the better part of his career, for the better part of the season at the same time as well. Then we move over to San Diego Padres going against Tanner Gordon. Most of their hitters have fared pretty well against him in the past. A little bit more limited sample size since he only has 2 starts against the Padres just in general. And then last but not least, we have the Atlanta Braves going against the Houston Astros. AJ Blubois, probably mispronouncing his name, but he is the expected starting pitcher for them. It's his second career start. None of these Braves hitters have faced him in the past before, but there is some decent upside to be had there at the same time as well. But with that being said, these are my core picks as well as top GPP teams to stack for Friday, September 12th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then once again in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report that have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I will also be listing as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and evening. So definitely make sure that you are checking up down in the comment section so that you do have the most up-to-date information, especially as we do head into lock. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have MLB DFS in terms of the core picks, typically Monday through Friday. Thursday's been a little bit wonky as of late, so I've been mainly posting my notes up on Patreon for free over there. We did ultimately end up missing out on Wednesday's slate because FanDuel decided to add 4 extra games. That was not something that I did expect, so I definitely do apologize for that. Did post up the notes that I did have for the 7 games that I had mapped out previously for free on Patreon at the same time as well. And then I do have my CFL DFS video coming out once a week, and that typically comes out on Wednesdays, so definitely feel free to check that out as well. And then I will be doing an NFL DFS core pick video for week number 2, so definitely be sure to check that out if that's something you're interested in as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user to either one of those sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks, it's a 100% match up to $100, and then for BetUS, it's a 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS for Friday, September 12th.